This is the Overdue Homework Podcast.
Welcome to the show. That's Trav. I'm Drew.
And I'm Trav.
And this is the Overdue Homework Podcast. And as always, we are here to talk about 80s and 90s media. Please, everybody, remember to do your homework with us. That's the crux of this show. Makes the show much more enjoyable. And then you can follow along after you've done the homework. Or don't do the homework and just listen. But do the homework. Do the homework. Don't do the homework. You can reach us at overduehomeworkpodcast@gmail.com. So please send us an email. I don't care what it is. We've asked for recipes a number of times. I'm not asking for recipes anymore.
Yep.
I want schematics for involved 3D printing models. That's what I want now. So email me. Email me.
Email.
Email us, please, 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 please. Trav, how are you doing?
I am pretty good. Had a lot of fun on my day off yesterday. Got pre-release Scarlet and Violet ETB trainer boxes for Pokemon. That's the new set. I'm going to keep them sealed. And the Resident Evil 4 remake is out, so I've been doing that a lot. So
that's awesome.
How about you?
Still baby.
Baby, baby. Got my baby.
Cam's like a little bit older than 2 weeks now, so it's great.
He's getting old.
He's getting old. He's getting old. He's been a great kid. So, Cam, when you listen to this in 25 years or whatever, you're a great kid at 2 weeks. So hopefully that continued for the rest of your life.
And do your homework.
And do your homework. This is where I normally talk about the articles used in the production of this podcast, but there are no articles that I used. You can go back to other episodes that covered Ed, and Eddy, and you can find out more information there about the Eds and Danny Antonucci and AKA Cartoons. And there's lots of links there to all types of information. So I guess we can get right into this homework review, Trav.
Let's do it.
Like I said, we are doing Ed, and Eddy, Season 1, Episodes 11, 12, and 13. Season 1 ran from January 4th, 1999 to June 11th, 1999 and has 13 episodes. The show was created by Danny Antonucci for Cartoon Network, and it's produced by Canada-based AKA Cartoon. The voices of the Eds include Matt Hill, who does Ed, Samuel Vincent, who does Double D, and Tony Sampson, who does Eddy. Go check out those companion episodes. Our episode number 11 and episode 22 covers the rest of season 1. So I suppose we are ready to get into that breakdown, huh?
Let's break it down.
Let's break it down. For episode 11, we are going to do the first segment, episode 11A. It's called Who, What, Where, Ed. And this one was written by Mike Kubat and Danny Antonucci. Mike shows up a couple of times in these last few episodes, so a little bit of a different writer had a hand in some of these. In this episode, the Eds simply want to find some eggs so they can make an omelet. The steps that they have to take in this episode are reminiscent of some epic side quest in an RPG, right?
Oh, definitely.
So you have to get something from somebody to give it to somebody else, to give it to somebody else. And I always hated in that time when you start something like that, some side quest, or even if it's a main quest, where you have to put it down, halfway through it, and you come back and you're like,
yeah.
And then you'll go to your mission notes and stuff, and it's still really ambiguous, and you're like, oh, I don't know where this is supposed to go.
And it made me think of the Office episode where Dwight's trading everything. I traded this for Meredith's junk, for Kelly's crap, for Ryan's this, to get this really cute squid that Aaron had. That's what they're doing the whole episode.
It's pretty funny. It's a really simple premise, but I think it works pretty well in this episode, and it's pretty funny for me.
Yeah.
So after the Eds failed at making their omelet that they wanted for breakfast, this is a pretty funny scene. Of course, they destroyed their kitchen. We find Ed and his yo-yo, so that's kind of cool. A little foreshadowing there to what happens a little bit later on in the episode.
Yep.
Ed manages to destroy, 24 eggs?
At least.
I mean, he launches at them at the other two Eds, doesn't he? And just Eddy holds up the pan, and it's just getting peppered with the eggs. So it's pretty dang funny. So no eggs, no omelet, huh, Eddy? No eggs, no omelet. If we had a chicken, we'd be knee deep in eggs.
Can we get a chicken?
You can have the chicken as long as I get to keep the eggs. So who else are you going to visit if you need a chicken?
Rolf.
Rolf, of
obviously.
course. Of course. The hay is warm and tells Rolf all. C+ on that, Rolf? C+? D-?
That was D's.
Okay, I'll go with D's. Rolf reaches in and grabs that egg out of the chicken hay. The fat has been trimmed and I will sleep well. As he's holding the egg. So the Rolfisms don't necessarily make sense, but they're still great.
Yeah.
A fine egg. Rolf will remember. That sounded like Yoda. And it's funny, too, because he says that to the chicken. Like, good job, chicken.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember this. It's a fine egg. It's a fine, fine egg. The boys do spot Rolf, and, of course, they want a chicken. And not so fast. Rolf suggests that the Eds hatch a chicken, and then they can have all the eggs they want. I mean, that's some free and good advice from Rolf, right?
Yeah.
Good job, Rolf. Thanks for the free advice. You must trade for the egg, greasy Ed boy.
That was better.
Trade for what? Sawdust, right?
Yeah.
Sawdust. You want this egg, Ed boy? Yes. So I guess the next scene then is Ed and Double D sawing that log to get some sawdust.
Yep.
Comically, Ed slamming Double D into the log as he saws. It's some pretty routine cartoon stuff, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
But Johnny, he comes out of nowhere and he stops the Eds.
Stop sawing that log.
Is it because he feels bad for the log?
I would assume.
He's got an affinity for wood, right?
I definitely would assume.
Maybe Plank would like to donate.
Plank said Kevin has lots of sawdust. Kevin's got sawdust.
How convenient. How convenient. Kevin does have sawdust. He does. It's no lie.
Sawdust
no lie.
bites.
The Eds do try to trick Kevin into just giving them the sawdust, but Kevin is too smart for that. I mean, he sees through all of their plans almost every episode anyways. Useless dust from a saw.
I'll give you the sawdust, but you have to paint the shed.
Where's the paint?
You figure it out.
Thanks, Kevin. That's not very helpful. But this does set our Eds down the path further for another trade, right?
Yeah.
It's time for Jimmy to get involved with the Eds, and whenever Jimmy gets involved with the Eds, it usually does not go very well for Jimmy.
No, it does not.
He was so peacefully practicing his painting.
Yeah.
Jimmy usually gets a really bad rap from the Eds. He's younger than... He's obviously Sarah's age.
Right.
He's younger than them, and I guess he's an easy target for them, right? Because they are the ones that get picked on by everybody else in the neighborhood, so he's just an easy target.
Definitely.
Just an easy target. How's it going, Rembrandt? How's it going, Rembrandt? I can't even do an Eddy. How would you even go about doing an Eddy?
I don't know.
I can't figure it out.
Yeah, I can't either.
I can't even figure it out. My voice doesn't have it in me. So now Jimmy's going to be running away to the closet, and he screams, which is very funny. He screams, "My fresco is ruined!" Just very funny. Just give me some paint, Jimmy. Come on. So Eddy, at this point, Jimmy's in the closet, and Eddy's trying to break down the door, and he's fishing his arm underneath the door, trying to grab Jimmy, and of course Jimmy's going to bite him, right?
Right.
What else is going to happen besides getting bit? With Eddy now out of the picture, Double D offers a trade, because that's the theme of the episode.
Yeah.
And what does Jimmy want?
Clams.
Clams?
No clams, no paint.
It's such a random thing. It's a very funny thing for Jimmy to request from the Eds. Clams.
Like,
clams.
all right.
I guess with the only option that the Eds probably have is to go from door to door around the cul-de-sac asking for clams.
Yep,
Got
which
any
they
clams?
do.
Can you spare some clams? Luckily, though, for the Eds, Johnny and Plank show up with some sewer clams. Delicious. Delicious. You're hard to beat when gathering clams. That's such a funny thing for him to say to Plank. Like, I love those interactions of Johnny and Plank. Johnny ends up wanting to trade an anchor for the clams with the Eds, which to make it easier to get sewer clams.
I
Like
guess?
just it's the most random grouping of objects that these kids want.
Seriously.
An anchor. So if you need an anchor, you go to the cankers.
I guess.
Anchor for cankers, canker for anchors. What makes them think that the anchors have a canker or the cankers have an anchor?
I really don't know.
I really don't know either. Just
Unless
to get
they
them
just
started.
know nobody in their normal area has one.
I guess that would make sense. Maybe their logic was they have an anchor tying down their mobile home.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
that was
true.
their logic. I don't know.
That's true.
And to get that, they pose as an anchor census person that's been in infomercials. You would
Yeah.
probably recognize me. Ed saying, I was the legs. Absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Obviously, the cankers don't fall for it, though, and May just straight up says, that's stupid.
Yep.
I hate the cankers, but I love the cankers just because they're I don't know if anti-eds are the right
That's what I was
word,
gonna say.
but they're just like the perfect, it's like the yin and the yang of the eds and the cankers.
Yeah.
It just goes together so well. The eds do fall over, and it exposes their ruse, and then they all try to run away. At this point, the eds do make it back to Jimmy with a rope tied to a rock.
Listen to the clams gurgle in the bucket plank.
Johnny is like the secret. Excuse me, I said that they made it back to Jimmy. They made it back to Johnny. They made it back to Johnny with a rope tied to a rock. Johnny is like the secret star, almost like
I
the
agree.
secret star of the whole show. Like,
Yeah.
he's so
Especially
random.
these episodes.
Especially these episodes. Definitely love Johnny in these episodes. Obviously, a rope tied to a rock is not going to be good enough, but luckily for the Eds, Plank wants to trade.
Yep.
And apparently it's a badminton racket. I don't ever remember them saying that that's what they need to get.
Same.
They just go to Sarah and try to steal the badminton racket.
Yeah.
It does not go well, obviously. Don't ever touch my racket! Sarah, all she has is scream, basically, is her only voice is scream. She slams Eddy through the fence.
But Sarah, we need to trade it for a chicken.
I'll trade it for a teddy bear. So back to Jimmy's. He's the only kid in the neighborhood with a teddy bear. We see Jimmy peeping out through the peephole, and he's seeing the Eds. And Jimmy asks, "What do you want?" "Giant teddy bear." Plums. That's just what it is. Plums.
Plums.
Plums. What do you want? Giant teddy bear. Plums. That's
Plums.
all right. Great. That's in. Eddy does say, "What's with all the food? Like, why does everybody want all this food?" So I guess back to Rolf's. It's the only person they know who has plums. He's got a massive estate farm, like a block away.
Yeah.
Which, in a different episode with Gunther or Victor, I always want to call his goat Gunther, but it's Victor.
Victor.
They do go rolling down that hill.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe Rolf does live kind of far away.
I guess.
I don't know. So we're back at Rolf's again, and Rolf is kind of confused. So back again, wanting Rolf's plums? Confused, Ed boys?
Ed boy.
Ed boys? Do you no longer want the egg? Yes, we want the egg. We just need these plums. No plums! No plums! He's still waiting on his sawdust. Don't try to fool Rolf. Right? I mean, don't try to fool Rolf. He's still waiting on the sawdust. Well, let's trade, Eddy says sarcastically. I've got a comb. No, I have many. I should have noticed. This is a really funny interaction in this episode to me. The sarcasm is hilarious, and the fact that you can't quite tell if it's lost on Rolf or not. Like,
right.
Is he playing into it, just kind of being that jerk to Eddy to make him feel even worse about himself. And then, of course, Eddy offers the condensed manners for the advanced book. That's kind of funny. Pulled that out of Double D's pants. And then Ed.
I got a yo-yo.
I have never seen such a thing. Such a thing. That's very funny. Rolf is very impressed with the yo-yo, and the Eds have a deal. And they can commence the trade chain. So there you go, all the way back.
Boom.
They finally get back to Rolf with the sawdust, and they get the egg. And Ed breaks the egg.
Yep, right away.
Next segment. What did you think of that one?
Should have seen that coming. I love that episode.
Yeah, it's a pretty darn funny episode. I
Yeah.
love how rapid fire it is, and it gets you right back into it. Just gets you right into the episode. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think this part A and B of this episode is one I've seen like pretty close to the most because I recognize both of them in the first 2 seconds.
This second part,
especially,
it really sticks out in my mind as
Yeah.
like a quintessential Ed, and Eddy episode that was on TV all the time.
Definitely.
So this 11B is called Keeping Up with the Eds, and Double D has to mow the yard, and he hates mowing the yard. And
Yeah.
of course, Eddy finds an angle to make money, ultimately unsuccessfully, off the cul-de-sac residents through using fertilizer and Rolf's goat.
Yeah.
I mean,
Rolf has a goat.
Rolf has a goat. This episode opens up with Ed just ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, and on and on and on and
Yeah.
on and on and on and on. Obviously, you got to remove the shoes when you get into Double D's house, and the floor was just waxed, so it's freestyle floor skate.
Freestyle floor skate.
I didn't grow up with a lot of like linoleum or hardwood floors, so there's a
Same.
lot of carpet, but I would definitely take advantage of a smooth linoleum floor when I had the opportunity.
Oh, obviously.
Every time. First one, oh, you're doing Double D, so why don't you do it?
First one to the kitchen makes lunch.
Eddy was first, so I guess he's got to make lunch.
Yep.
And it's an absolute sea of Post-it notes in Double D's kitchen. It's all from his parents, and talk about being micromanaged.
Yeah.
Did your dad ever leave you notes in the summertime to like take out the trash? And
No.
Nothing like that?
No.
I would get the list from my mom to do stuff during the day, and then it was always like a mad scramble, like 20 minutes before she came home to like quick try to do everything because I
100%.
sat and watched TV
My
all day.
few tiny chores that I had, it was the same thing. Like, Dad's gonna be home soon. Time to get this done.
We find out from these notes that Double D's father wants him to mow the lawn, and Double D detests mowing the lawn. So off to the shed. And all Double D has is one of those old push lawnmowers. Have you ever used one of those push lawnmowers?
No.
I've never used one either. I've thought about getting one. I mean, as long as you keep the blade sharp, they're supposed to work really well.
Yeah.
And they're silent, and
Yeah.
they're better for the environment. But it seems like a whole heck of a lot of work, and they're not even that much cheaper than a full-on
Right.
regular lawnmower.
Right.
It's not even that much cheaper. I really want to get one of those electric lawnmowers. They're supposed to last all the way through a lawnmower now without having to be plugged in. So
Oh, nice.
I would entertain the idea of an electric lawnmower, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Why not? I'd actually be able to hear my podcasts when I'm mowing the lawn then. Or not blow out my eardrums because I got to have the volume completely maxed out.
Right.
Completely maxed out. Eddy ends up tricking Ed into mowing by saying, "Attack the Weebles."
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so it was the enemies or the monsters from one of Ed's many sci-fi horror films. You know, so Ed destroys Double D's lawn. I mean, what else would happen?
What
right?
else
Just
would happen?
completely destroys it.
Weebles have been terminated, Eddy. My backyard. There is no backyard.
So Ed cut the grass a little close to the ground. We'll just grow it back.
That'll take weeks.
Not with what I got. So just like that, Eddy gets the largest bag of manure possible.
Ever.
Montezuma's free-range manure.
Yep.
And then he busts down that fence like literally right after Double D had fixed it.
Yeah.
just busted it down, which was very funny. And then the demonstration with the fertilizer I thought was pretty good too. I didn't quite get it at the beginning. I'm like, oh, it's making stuff grow on his shoes. And I was like, oh, mushrooms, because he's really gross and dirty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Really gross and dirty. Because he seems pretty gross and dirty. I mean, who wears a jacket and pants in the middle of the summer?
Yeah.
He'd be a sweaty mess.
He does every single day.
He does every single day. Except for the next episode.
Well, that's true.
That is very true. It's very, very true. Eddy gets the idea to spread the manure all over the neighborhood so that everyone's grass grows, and that then everybody in the cul-de-sac will have to pay the Eds to mow their lawns. The Eds would make a killing, right? Obviously.
Obviously.
That's what Eddy's all about. And that's exactly what happens. Ed starts flinging that poo all over the neighborhood, causing mayhem and uncontrolled grass growth. I love when he's shoveling. He's like, "You're a goner. Later, buckaroo." Plus, Jimmy and Sarah getting covered in poo is always pretty good.
Love
Enjoy
it.
that. That's very funny.
Love it.
And, of course, all the grass in the neighborhood grows to 10 feet high, if not taller, right?
Yeah. We mow all the grass.
Where in the money? Decidedly different takes on the situation, I would say.
Yeah.
Double D didn't want to mow in the first place. Like, his whole thing was getting out of mowing, and now he's mowing the whole neighborhood.
Right, yeah.
Next, we got Jimmy and Sarah yelling for help, and I think it's Double D says it sounds like cats are fighting, which is pretty darn funny. And, no, that's Jimmy. No, that's Sarah. Ed does not like Sarah being stranded in the grass at all.
Trouble big.
Fine. We mow her out and charge her.
So savage.
So savage. The Eds do go searching for Sarah and Jimmy to not much success. Ed runs into that same tree multiple times, which is a pretty good laugh for me.
Love it.
Just running crazy, running into that tree over and over and over. With no other options, the boys turn to Rolf because Rolf, right?
Rolf's got a goat, Sarah.
Hiya, Ed boys. Would you like to join me for lunch? And he's holding a rabbit. So I'm assuming the rabbit was lunch, right?
I'm guessing, yes.
We do find out a little bit. No, it isn't. Is it in this episode? No, it's in the next episode where we go to Rolf's for lunch. And we get a little bit better idea of what Rolf likes to eat. We just want to borrow your goat, and then we'll cut your grass for free. Free? Sure, but you must follow the customary procedure for passing of the goat. Read and sign, thank you. And then Double D signs his life away to some contract for a goat.
Yeah, I love that it's been like passed down. Yeah. And he's like, sign here, there, and here.
That's great. That's absolutely great. With all that paperwork in check, Rolf sends Victor out on his errand with Eddy riding him. Victor is really great at what he does. So good, he suspects that Victor had eaten Sarah as well as the grass.
Yeah.
Alas, he was not in Victor's belly, thankfully. I'm over here, stupid. That's pretty good. Thanks, Sarah. Now that all the grass has been taken care of by Victor, Eddy wants to collect the money, but Double D wants to return Victor. He doesn't want to pay the late fee of 2 bags of beans, 5 pigs, and 1 turnip. Seems like a pretty steep late fee.
Definitely.
No $1.75 from Blockbuster, right?
No.
Did you ever rent anything from like a local mom and pop rental place and like never return a video and just decided to never go back and just do a different video store?
So, sort of.
Okay.
It was not on purpose, but back when Randall's was a thing in New Orleans, they had a small rental thing, and I rented Super Mario Kart for SNES and Crash Test dummies, and then they closed.
Oh, so you just got them for free.
I just got to keep them.
That's hilarious.
But no, I didn't ever do that on purpose because there was only Hy-Vee after that and Little Dukes, and I never went down to Hy-Vee. So yeah.
There was no standalone rental in New Orleans.
No standalone.
That's really surprising to me. Not even one.
Yeah, not even one. Family video of way after I moved out of New Orleans.
There was never a Video Magic in New Orleans.
No.
Man, that surprises me. There was never a Video Magic.
Yeah.
Video Magic was my jam as a kid. Like a young kid. There was like one down the block basically from the house. And you could buy like those boxes of the whippersnappers there.
Yeah.
So I'd like go rent a movie and buy a box of those and then like snap them all on my way home, walking home with the... And I'd be like, oh, well, that was a waste of 99 cents or $1.50 or whatever it was.
But man, it was fun.
Now the Ed boys, they are returning Victor, and it does not go too well for them. Runaway goat! And then they all end up in the mud underneath Victor at Rolf's farm, and Victor tries to bite the Eds. Roll credits.
Roll credits.
Roll
he likes me.
It's such a weird, like, it was almost like they got to that last line where they're returning Victor to the Eds when they're writing it, and they're like, and Victor tries to bite the Eds?
I like it. I like it.
Gold. That's golden. That's golden. That's a good second half to that first episode. Very strong 2 segments.
Definitely.
Very strong 2 segments.
Very memorable episode.
This season, really, from the first episode, it feels like it ramps up all the way to the end. All the way to the end.
I agree.
It's just a good, even up to the quality that they would demonstrate for the rest of the series, which was awesome, which was very awesome. All right, our next episode, episode 12, 12A, is Ed's Aggregate. Exaggerate.
Exaggerate.
Exaggerate. It's easy for me to say. And you can describe this episode as the lie that is the Mucky Boys.
Mucky Boys.
I thought it was Monkey Boys. like for the first watch through I did, I was like Monkey Boys. I thought it was Monkey Boys,
Yeah,
and then I watched.
This make sense?
Then I watched this with the subtitles on. I'm like, oh, Mucky Boys.
Clears it up.
This episode opens up with the Eds having a carnival called Edland to get some cash from the local kids, like usual. Double D made the swing ride and called it the Lawn Chairs Orbit's Earth Ride. Eddie's got the ticket booth ready, and Ed is in the petting zoo. Appropriate, right? Very appropriate.
Yeah.
Double D wants to run some preliminary tests before they get started, so Eddy hops onto one of those suspended chairs from the, what is it? It's like a clothesline thing, but it's like one of those ones in the middle of your yard that's like a square. I used to have one of those at my last place, and I got so sick of mowing around it, I just pulled it out of the ground. I'm like, I'm done with this thing.
Nice.
I'm done with this thing. So Eddy hops onto those chair. He's not into it, so he replaces one of the suspending chairs with a recliner and a stool. Don't forget it.
Yeah.
Double D reminds him that the laws of physics and his weight distribution are not good. But this is not going to turn out well for you. Eddy really, excuse me. And Ed really wants to be petted in that petting zoo. Very funny.
Yeah.
Oh, test the petting zoo. Pet me now. Thanks, Ed. That's kind of creepy. Why do you want to be petted so bad? Ed does fling Eddy skyward straight towards Kevin's window.
Who broke my window?
You didn't see them?
Who?
The Mucky Boys.
The Mucky Boys.
They were dumped off by a tornado, raised by field mice in a cave near the construction site. They eat their weight in cheese, and they throw comfortable armchairs in the air and smack right into your window.
That is great.
Kevin does call baloney on it pretty quick, but he gets fooled anyways, right?
Yeah.
Kids are dumb.
The kids are dumb.
Kids are dumb. And Eddy goes, there they go, and he points him one way, and then he points him another way, and then off goes Kevin. Next, our trio runs into Sarah and Jimmy in the alleyway, and they're all dressed in like expedition gear. So this is probably a matter of minutes that these two things have passed, right? So already the Mucky Boys are infiltrating the neighborhood. Eddy does ask, and I'm debating on whether or not I should say that word, the PYG word. I feel like it's an offensive word nowadays. Probably. And where are our half pint up to? What are our half pint up to? I'm just gonna not say it. Just for safety's sake, I think. If you watch the episode, you know exactly what he said. Starts with the P, ends with an S. That sounds really dirty.
That sounds way. Now you're gonna check it out. Now, if you didn't do your homework, you are going to check that out.
Starts with a P, ends with an S.
But not what you think.
It does have a Y in it also. So go figure it out.
Figure it out, yo.
Sarah and Jimmy are there to hunt out the Mucky Boys. Now Eddy finds out that the lie has been perpetuated, and he's worried that Kevin's going to find out, right?
As he should.
Yeah, as he should. Jimmy and Sarah are off to meet up with Kevin, and Ed leaves his sister with some advice. Look out for armchairs. Good job, Ed. Good job. Good job. Next, everyone is at the construction site, and Rolf must have silence. The soil speaks to me. That sounded like, I don't know what that was. The soil speaks to me. That wasn't much better either. They are on the hunt for some Mucky Boys. The Mucky Boys are 50 paces towards the sun, cooking beets. Eddy can't believe at this point that they all have bought into the ruse. Like, he's just like, can't believe it. And you know, they're all in they're basically in that piece of construction equipment 50 paces in front of the kids. So great. So they're going to go basically find out that the Eds are there, but Ed has one of his best ideas ever, according to Eddy, and it's to make some noises to scare the kids, right?
Yeah.
It works.
It works.
I think Eddy says something like, a great idea finally fell out of your brain. Something like that. That's a pretty funny line. We have angered the Mucky Boys. Kevin's still not completely convinced. Our trio tries to create some evidence with Ed's gigantic feet and the cave paintings. I was wondering after I watched it the first time How did Ed's feet grow? I missed that part. They just slammed him.
Yeah.
Just slammed him with the thing. Just slammed him. The other kids, they do find the evidence that the Eds have laid out, and they decide to follow it straight to the Eds. The Eds paint themselves into the wall of the caves because it covers in one coat, right? Because they hear the other kids coming. Sarah feels the paint on the wall. It's still wet. She almost reaches and touches Double D, I think, right?
Yeah.
But then she touches like the painting of the pig or something like that. So at this point, Sarah is definitely on to the Eds. Our Eds, they escape back out the way that everybody came in. We're talking loudly. Should have easily been heard by the rest of the kids, but it's a kids show, so we'll just move on from that.
Yeah.
The other kids now, they have reached the end of the cave, which is the drainage system for the construction site, and the Eds are all there waiting, and they're all dressed in their mucky best. It basically works until it doesn't.
Yeah.
It works for a little bit. When they're like getting prepped for being the Mucky Boys, when Double D gets hit with that toolbox, it's just like comedic genius. The timing for it, you see it coming from a mile away as soon as Eddy launches it, but the timing for it is so funny to me. He just gets smashed in the face with it. It's very funny to me. I absolutely love that. Jimmy gets left behind because all those kids run off, Rolf says, Rolf needs to wander the weeds, and then they're out of there, and Kevin just screams, "You guys owe me a window. I'm out of here." Sarah does bust them, though, by saying that, hey, Ed, Mom wants you to clean your room, and then he comes out of character, basically, and then she hoses them down, and Eddy says, "Mucky Boys, pretty funny, huh, Kev?" Our trio end up in cement at the end of the episode, which, take some time to, I don't know, they must have held them down in place.
I guess.
It's fine. It's funny that they're in a giant block of cement. Ed's got an itch on his nose, and Johnny brings them a cake with a hammer in it. He qualifies as like chaotic good, right? Like he doesn't care what he's doing or who it's helping, but he always leans towards like doing the right thing, or the helpful thing. Like Johnny comes out of nowhere. He's just probably watching all of this unfold.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to make Ed a cake with a hammer in it so they can get out.
Yeah.
And see what happens then.
I love that. Chaotic good.
He's a chaotic good. That's what I would say. That's why Johnny's the secret star of this show.
Seriously.
Secret star. Well, the hammer has obviously contaminated the cake. And bam, that hammer is stuck to Ed's head, and they are stuck in cement still. So next segment.
Next segment.
All right, episode 12 still. Now we're on to segment B, and it's called An Oath to an Ed. Basically, this episode, our trio joins the Urban Rangers. Lots of Rolf. It starts off with the boys getting new clothes. There must have been a sale. I hate new clothes.
I like canoes.
Just a great one-liner from Ed. Love that. That's a great one-liner. His one-liners are so good almost every time. Let's go break them in at the old watering hole. Did you have anything like that growing up? A watering hole that you would just go jump in?
No.
There's no way.
No.
There's no way I would even consider doing just jumping in some puddle in the woods. I'm just not going to do that.
Nope.
Not going to do that.
Not gonna do it.
Not going to do it.
I would have been scared of doing anything like that ever since Stand By Me.
No, for real. Like, I got told about before I saw Stand By Me, and neighbor kid was like, "You can't go in that lake. There's leeches." And I was like, "Oh, leeches." He's like, "They're in all the water everywhere around here." I'm like, "I can never go in water again."
Seriously. Oh, man.
So for like the rest of my childhood, and then even doubly so after I saw Stand By Me. I was probably like 10, 12 when I saw Stand By Me. But then I was like, it can actually happen. Because, when you're a kid, it was like, "Oh, no, that's not going to happen."
Right.
Nope, it happened.
It can happen.
It can happen. It was on the movie screen. It can happen. Great bit from Ed in this being a washing machine in said watering hole. I really liked before he actually gets into the water, the sounds that they each make when they're getting out of their clothing, except for Double D, obviously.
Yeah.
The way Ed opens up his new clothes like a car door, and then you get that ding, 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 that classic, like the keys are in the ignition still ding from that car.
Yeah.
From a car. Like, that was just really reminiscent of all those cars that you grow up being in and out of at night in Minnesota and stuff like that. Or it would either be the keys in the ignition or the headlights still being on. Just that ding, ding, ding. Very like iconic sound of an American car in the 80s and 90s, I think. All that clothing ends up in the spin cycle. So does Ed in his clothing. Ding! Spin cycle's done. And all the clothes disintegrate. So, I mean, some quality clothing, right? Some real quality clothing.
Serious sale.
And now the boys are back in their original clothing. And Rolf, and they're in a tree, which they're in a tree, and Eddie's eating cherries. And it's just kind of like, okay, they're in their clothing in a tree eating cherries. They just needed someplace to go, I guess. But Rolf does capture Eddy with a net, and we are introduced to the Urban Rangers finally. Honestly, I did not see that coming. It's such a weird thing to happen that that Eddy would be snatched out of a tree with like a giant dog catcher's net, right?
Yeah.
It just it was a good bit, and I love that Rolf did it. And that is how you save a helpless kitty from a tree. I'm trying to figure out who I'm half sounding like. I'm kind of half sounding like somebody in my head, and it's not Rolf. Eddy is enamored with the Urban Rangers uniforms. Like, why is he so why is he so into clothing all of a sudden? Like, I want that clothing.
Yeah, come on.
Rolf tells the Eds that they can join, and all they have to do is get one badge, and they get the uniform for free. That's quite a deal, right?
Yeah, damn good deal.
You too can become an Urban Ranger.
But I like being Ed.
Tell us what to do, Rolfie boy. The trial of the badges, of which the Eds are always unsuccessful, begins.
Always.
Always unsuccessful. The Eds are wee roaches, which is a funny way to describe the younger recruits in the Urban Rangers.
Yeah.
They need badges, and they need badges to be no longer considered wee roaches. So we get to move on to our first opportunity for that first badge. Rolf has very funny names for all of these badges. I mean, it's almost as if he may have made them all up.
Yeah.
It's the "Don't bug me, I'm in the hammock" badge. I love, like I said, that all those badges are just mundane tasks for the most part, and you kind of go through Jimmy's his sash that has all the badges on him. I'm pretty sure it's stuff like folding clothes and stuff like that. It's just really just mundane stuff. The Eds, they can't do it.
Yeah.
They can't lay in a hammock.
Why?
They can't do it. I'll give them some major points, though. They created an elaborate wooden cutout with them looking like they're in a hammock.
Very Eds. Very Eds.
There are no badges for sneaky wee roaches.
Next badge.
Next badge. It's the trimming of the hedge badge. It is important. It says, "Look at me. I am a hotshot." It's just the weirdness factor is off the charts. Love it. Absolutely love it. Ed tells Rolf that the head shears look like the head of the monster from I Was a Teenage Appetizer from Planet Sushi, The Second Coming. Rolf's reply is honestly one of the best lines of the series so far. Absolutely hilarious to me. No shears for you, potato Ed boy. Rolf is like, okay, Ed is a little bit too dumb for scissors. The way he delivers it in this episode, it just really stood out to me, and it's a genuine laugh out loud moment. A lot of this show isn't laugh out loud for me, just because it's geared towards a younger audience. But there are the moments that still will get you. Still will get you.
And
definitely
usually Rolf is involved.
Usually Rolf or Ed is involved for sure. Jimmy and the other Rangers are doing great. Even Plank's doing great. Even the Eds are doing pretty good at this point.
Yeah.
Until Ed pulls the shrub out through the ground.
Yeah, come on.
Come on. That was their best chance. Honestly.
That was their best chance.
That was their best chance, but no badge for the Eds.
Nope.
No badge for the Eds. "We roaches, you are trying my patience, and that is not good, as I am the son of a shepherd."
What does that mean?
I don't know.
I love that, but that's one of the lines I wrote down because it's so funny.
"I am the son of a shepherd."
Oh, okay. Better not try his patience.
Next badge. Escorting the elderly across the street should be as easy as combing Papa's back hair. That's another one that's just way out there and very funny. Way out there. So normally it was going to be Rolf's Nana that the Eds would have to escort across the street. But she was too busy frying weeds. Right. So Rolf got trendy Naz girl to take Nana's place. The Eds love Naz, so things don't go well for them, and they miss out on yet another badge.
Yeah.
Eddy escorted Ed across the street.
I love that scene. Like, are you going to hold my hand? Yeah. And then he doesn't look at her at all, and his hands are just drenched.
The puddle underneath their
Just
hands
drenched.
across the street. It's very fun. Every one of you, if you are a man, for sure have been there trying to talk to a lady.
Oh, yeah. And that speaks to me in the sense that I always have sweaty hands. I've always dealt with that, so I just died. That was a laugh out loud moment for me when Ed's like, your hands are so sweaty.
I used to have really, really, really sweaty pits, but I grew out of it. It was the weirdest thing. Like, from the time I hit puberty until I was like 30. Like, I did like prescription strength deodorant and all this, like, had to go to CVS and get it from the pharmacist deodorant. And then I turned 30 and it's like Drysville underneath my armpits. It's the weirdest thing ever.
That's
like,
awesome.
30. See you later, sweaty pits. I don't know.
It didn't work for me, but hey.
I got so used to being like, I got to wear 2 shirts, to like soak up the sweat and stuff like that. Maybe I should bring a shirt with so I can switch halfway through. Now I don't have to do it anymore. It's been a miracle, I tell you. It's been a miracle. When prescription strength deodorant is not putting a dent in your sweaty pits,
something's up.
Depressing.
Yeah.
Depressing. I did all this Googling and stuff on it, and they can like do Botox in your armpits and stuff, or in your wrists for sweaty hands and your ankles for like sweaty feet and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get any like steroid shots or anything like that.
No, Botox, they can do like when I was in high school, I was really like bummed about having super sweaty pits. So I did like research in books, like real books about it. And there's a procedure where they like remove the nerve in your armpit that's responsible for sending the signals to your sweat glands.
That is crazy.
That is crazy. But I was almost like, man, I wonder how much this would cost. I mean, I would really love to not have to deal with sweaty pits.
Right.
But thankfully, I just waited until I was 30, I guess.
And then boom.
Boom, no more sweaty pits. I digress. Next badge. The microwaving of the fast food burrito. Do you love the flavor of this burrito, Trav?
Oh, it sounds delicious. If you're crazy, maybe.
Yogurt and liver.
Yummy.
I mean, and it's obvious the Eds cannot handle this task.
Can't handle this task.
The burrito.
For some reason, when they got to this, I thought they were going to be able to complete it. I'm like, here it is. Here's the one. Nope.
Have you wee roaches been drinking milk out of a rusty bucket? Such waste and disrespect of the fast food is not allowed in the urban rangers. But luckily for the Eds, Rolf sees them covered in all the filth, and it reminds Rolf of his childhood.
Yeah.
Even though he's still a child. Is Rolf actually like 45 years old?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even think about that he's referring to his childhood.
Right.
They are all children.
Rolf's,
maybe he's secretly 45.
I'm going to go with Rolf's 45. It makes it a whole new level to this show.
Definitely.
If you think Rolf is an adult. Next badge. Replacing the TP role, right? I mean,
gotta be able to do it.
Come on, Ed.
Gotta be able to do it.
It was a funny, quick line from Eddy, too. He's like, I didn't even know what that was for, or something like that. That was pretty funny. This is an impossible task for the Eds to complete, though.
Yep.
They flush the roll holder down the toilet.
Come on.
No badges ever! I love that Rolf has to go calm his nerves with a candied beat.
Yeah.
gives the Eds another chance. Last badge, guys. Last badge. And it's being a good neighbor. And nope, that's not going to work out either. I'll say, to the Eds' credit, Sarah did not help out that situation.
No, she didn't.
Sarah did not help out that situation one bit. So, as punishment for failing all the attempts to get those badges, the Eds are de-scarfed and sentenced to the walk of shame. And, Ranger Johnny, bring me my lard. Here's your lard-bringing badge. It's so funny. Like, it's just insult to the Eds, right? Because he's handing out badges to everybody throughout the whole segment. It's very funny. And off the Eds go in the lard. Roll credits.
Roll credits.
Not much of a message in that one. Just the Eds not doing a very good job.
Yeah.
All right, Trav. We're on to episode 13 of season 1. This is our final hurrah for the Eds here.
Dun, dun, dun.
Kind of sad, really.
A little bit sad.
I'm going to miss the Eds.
Yep.
I'm going to miss the Eds. I'm going to miss the Eds. We'll mention something here.
We'll mention a little something. A little loophole. But on to Button Your Ed.
Button Your Ed, episode 13, segment A. Eddy loses his voice due to a bug being lodged in his voice box, and hilarity ensues. Yes. Double D in the morning getting ready to eat his grapefruit, full rain gear, instantly getting soaked with the grapefruit.
As soon as he puts the spoon in.
Grapefruit suck, so I don't know why he would even want to eat one of those, but whatever. Grapefruit are not delicious. Are you a fan of grapefruit?
No, I mean like grapefruit flavor-esque type things maybe, but do I ever sit down with a spoon and a half a grapefruit? Absolutely not.
No, that's something that my dad used to do.
Really?
Yes, but now he's on a blood pressure medication, and you can't have grapefruit with it. It says on the bottle, do not eat grapefruit.
Oh my.
Yeah, so he can't eat it.
Did he have the full rain gear on?
No. But he did have his little, you've seen the spoons for grapefruit eating, right?
Yeah.
They got the little serrated edge.
Yeah.
Oh, he had his favorite little spoon, that's for sure. favorite little spoon. Ed and Eddy show up soon after that, and Eddy opens up the screen door and walks through it like a normal human being. Ed does not.
Nope.
He just walks right through the screen door. The hole will lead to bugs coming into Double D's house, obviously, right?
Obviously.
He's not exactly pleased about it. You've opened the door for all winged insects to come into my home. I mean, thanks, Double D. That's obviously what he's done. Bugs come in. Specifically one bug, I guess. They don't get like a deluge of bugs, I guess, by any means.
Yeah.
The bug gets lodged into Eddy's throat after they try to smash it a couple of times. I didn't remember this episode at all, and I thought this was going to be one of those cartoon episodes where they're chasing a fly around their house like the whole episode.
Same.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
I envisioned more bugs to be a problem, but
yeah.
then it's just one, like, oh, okay, it's me like that Breaking Bad episode.
Yeah, right, exactly. At this point, though, Eddy's got that lodged in his throat, and Ed thinks that his ears are broken. Thinks that he's gone deaf. That's some funny stuff. Ed, I'll miss you, Ed. I will miss you. Oh, wait, I can go watch you anytime. I'm never going to miss you,
that's
Ed.
right.
Double D has a pretty good idea that Eddy can use a bell to talk, which I guess the whole thing was for the bell, I guess, to get their attention so he can communicate with them. The bell doesn't really solve their communication issues, but
sure doesn't.
We wouldn't have an episode without it, so good job, Double D. Initially, Double D's and Ed's translations aren't exactly up to par. You know, Ed thinks that he wants an umbrella. Maybe he wants the latest in Chemistry Theory magazine. And then Ed obviously thinks that Eddy wants buttered toast.
Buttered toast.
Thankfully for the Eds, though, Rolf stops by. Thankfully for us, Rolf stops by.
Exactly.
Thankfully for us. Hello, embarrassing Ed boys. Even more lucky, Rolf can apparently speak Bell. Sort of.
He claims he can.
Eddy is hungry. Do you not hear it? Are you so simple? And the next logical step is for Rolf to invite the trio to lunch. Because, he's 45 years old. He's a single income. He's got plenty of food.
Exactly.
Come, you are invited to Rolf's for food and merriment. Time for a horrific lunch.
Horrific.
Tell me how good my fish sticks are. Literally fish with sticks in them. That's so hilarious. Would you, if you were like fear factoring it and had to eat those fish sticks, would you do it?
Fear factoring it, so I'm like getting money or something
well,
at the end of this.
Okay. For $1,000, you have to finish the fish stick.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
You wouldn't be able to do it?
I wouldn't be able to do it.
You don't have to keep it down, but you have to eat the whole thing.
You can barf it out.
But you have to chew up and swallow all of it.
I don't know. $1,000 isn't tempting enough for me, to be honest.
$5,000.
$5,000. I'm gonna try it. If I'm allowed to puke, I'm definitely
you can
gonna
puke,
try it.
but you have to have chewed up and swallowed every bit of it.
Oh man, like eyeballs and everything.
Well, it would look like it was just the back half in the cartoon.
Oh yeah.
So just the back half. Sure.
$5,000.
Surely, if you'll do it for $5,000, you'd do it for $4,000. I'm just trying to figure out a price point here so I can see how much money I need.
Logistics. This is going to be our first live stream.
I wouldn't. I mean, I would need a pretty good amount of money to eat most of that stuff on the table.
Yeah.
Most of that stuff. When I went to New York to visit my friend Mike, my friend Matt that went with me, we were like, we're going to go to Chinatown. We are going to get like some authentic Asian food. And we did. Like I got a pretty generic meal, nothing too out of that. And Matt was like, give me the squid, give me the like eel. And I was like, oh my goodness. I did have some of the squid. It just didn't have much of a flavor. It was just very rubbery.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the victim of the restaurant or what. It was like 10:30 on a Monday in Chinatown, 10:30 at night on a Monday in Chinatown. So maybe we picked the wrong place. Maybe what I ate wasn't even squid because it was just like white squares of this rubbery material.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It was decent.
I
it was
have
an
a
interesting
seriously
experience.
weak stomach, so there's just no way without Pink even eating it. As I've said, peanut butter cookie has gotten me to throw up
Peanut
before,
butter cookie.
so I don't think I'd be able to take down half a fish on a stick.
Peanut
But
butter cookie. I forgot that it was a peanut butter cookie. But after that fish stick, Eddie's still ringing that bell, and it seems as though Eddy wants one of us to feed him like a baby. And Ed does just that.
exactly.
After lunch, Rolf thinks Eddy wants to work off the sausage he ate at lunch with some physical activity, which happens to be synchronized swimming. A wise choice, Eddy, as it's the second most popular pastime, second only to shiny shoes. Shiny shoes, not shining shoes. Shiny shoes. That's a pretty good bit. Shiny shoes. They're the most popular pastime in whatever country from whatever country he's from is shiny shoes. That just kills me. That just absolutely kills me. We do get to see the unicycle of doom next. Eddy so obviously doesn't want to do the unicycle of doom. It's just very, 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 very obvious. The unicycle of doom is a very brave request for a coward. And Eddy gets launched. I mean, what else would happen? He takes Jimmy for a little bit of a ride, which is very funny because Jimmy's always the butt of those physical jokes, it seems like. Jimmy just opens up that front door and Eddy just goes slamming into him and out the back of the house. On subsequent watch-throughs, there is no sound effect for Eddy's unicycle in this scene. It's just going down silently. Yeah. And I was like, what? Why isn't there any type of sound effect? It
Doesn't make sense.
It was just kind of weird that there was no sound effect at all for it. Eddy does his best Wile E. Coyote and explodes in the distance after he goes flying off, which is very funny. What's next, Rolf? Next, Eddy is hot after he's been trying to recover from what was obviously a tough encounter with a unicycle, right? Yes. They freeze the whole room with that refrigerator, which had two settings, which was what? Hot, 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 and burr, or something like that.
He slams it through the wall of the house. Like, okay.
After what looks like he's going through like a frozen tundra in the Arctic or something like that, Eddy does make it to the window and to ring his bell, and I think he's thanking us. Or he would like his big toenail clipped. No, he's thanking us.
That's one of my favorites.
We never do see how Eddy gets out of there, but thankfully he does. And now he's desperately avoiding Rolf and the rest of the Eds. I would be too at this point. I would be too at this point too. Eddy's bell like kind of rings as he's trying to walk by. Like, oh, Eddy, what do you want? What do you need, Eddy? What do you need? He finally gets some smarts though and starts like miming a typewriter. Right? That's pretty smart. The piece of paper, and they figure it out. Yeah. They figure it out. Eddy gets his piece of paper and then he mimes a pencil or a pen, and Rolf is like, yeah, I got this, and hands him a piece of corn.
Yeah,
corn cob. And then he just, that's another one of those, you just don't see something like that coming, corn cob. I mean, it makes sense that Rolf would have said corn cob in his pocket, but you just don't see that coming. You just don't see that coming. Eddy would like to face his greatest fear. A face-off with the doodle. That's a great name for a rooster, right? The doodle. That's a great name for a rooster. Do not taunt the doodle. Mostly in this scene, the chicken just chases Eddy around. Have you ever been chased by a chicken?
Nope.
No, me neither. I can't believe it's that scary, right? Maybe as a kid. Turn around and kick it?
Yeah.
I mean, turn around and kick it. No. Don't kick chickens out there, kids.
Don't kick the chicken.
Don't kick the chickens. But if you're being chased by one, I mean, maybe threaten to kick it?
Self-defense.
Self-defense. Kick that chicken.
Kick that chicken.
Eddie tries to escape at one point, but Ed puts him back in. You almost fell out, Eddie. And now they're telling him to use the cape, because, it's like a bull, chicken's bull, same type of idea, with the chicken on the charge. Johnny and Plank capture it as he hits the cape, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And Johnny goes, "Great job, Plank. We rescued another one." Not again, Johnny. I kind of forgot that was a bit, that he rescues the chickens from Rolf all the time. That's pretty darn funny. Eddie, at this point, has had enough of it, rips off his bell and runs off, hides in a tree.
Yep.
Double D and Ed can't find him. He decides to get down from the tree, doesn't quite make it, but then discovers his voice is back.
Yeah.
Right? His voice is back and screaming for help because what else could you do, The brain is an amazing organ, Ed. It's actually fooling me into thinking that Eddie is calling out to us. Next segment. Don't be a jerk. I guess there's no moral to that. I mean, Eddie wasn't like a jerk. He was taken advantage of, and now he's stuck in a tree.
I guess the moral of the story is use the screen door properly.
Yeah, I guess. Use the screen door out there, kids. That's the moral of the story. Use that screen door out there. Don't use that screen door.
Oh, man. It's things like that make me want to record ours. If they could have seen your serious face there, to use that screen door out there, kids. You were like, there is a lesson to be learned. You're right. Use that screen door. That was great.
Spoiler alert, this is my favorite segment of the whole series so far. This next segment, 13B.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. This is my favorite one. The boys want to start a luxury cruise line. I mean, what a great premise.
25 cents.
25 cents. It starts off with them, though, trying to get quarters from the kids for a tire swing in the alley with an inner tube, which is a little goofy, but whatever. Ed and Double D need to show the other kids how much fun that swing can be, and Ed does just that by swinging Double D very hard.
Donuts are made for dunking.
His lines. Ed sends Double D down the alley in that inner tube, and luckily for the rest of the kids in the cul-de-sac, he bounces right over them and then straight into the creek.
Yeah.
Double D was flying faster than my father's shoe on bath night. Thanks, Rolf. Now with the rest of the Eds there, Kevin asks if the Eds are up to anything, and ever the schemer, Eddie comes up with a scheme right on the spot.
Yeah.
He's like a luxury cruise line.
Yeah.
It's only 25 cents. Just comes up with it immediately. He knows how to get his quarters, I guess. The next day, it's I suppose it's the same day. Eddie's Creek Cruise opening afternoon.
Yeah.
2 at a time. Jimmy and Johnny get to go first, and I couldn't think of a better pair to go on this voyage with these
obviously.
Three. Jimmy and Johnny should have had their own spin-off show. That would have been amazing. Just the Jimmy and Johnny show.
Yeah.
Just the Johnny and Plank show would have been crazy good. I would have watched it. There's got to be Johnny and Plank figurines from the era out there, right?
Definitely.
Ooh, I might be finding me some Plank figurines because I'm a big-time Plank believer all of a sudden.
That'd be a cool Funko Pop, Johnny and Plank.
Yeah, Plank gets his own Funko Pop.
Yeah.
That would be a really unique-looking Funko because it wouldn't have its normal shape. Do they do that with Funkos? Make a completely...
Would they have to give him legs? Don't they almost do that with any the cereal boxes? They all of a sudden have arms and legs.
Yeah,
yeah,
they might do that. I mean, Shenron is just
that's true.
Shenron is completely a one-off. It doesn't really look like the other.
There you go, Funko. There's a pretty damn good idea.
Johnny and Plank, one together, one separate, so 3 total. Johnny deserves 3 Funkos unto himself, please.
Oh, for sure.
One of them, maybe even some variants with a bucket of clams or something like that, right?
Yes.
Bucket of clams. Boy. Jimmy, Johnny, and the Eds, they are off on their inaugural voyage, and full speed ahead, or full speed that way, is what Eddie says. Double D has refreshments, pulpy juice. Jimmy is not interested, but relax. Oh, Jimmy's not interested because he's not a fan of pulp, so he hands it to Johnny. And then Johnny says, relax, Plank. It's fruit pulp.
Yeah.
Just relax, Plank.
And the fact that they use Ed's mom's oven as an anchor is hilarious.
Are you sure my mom is going to be able to use this again, Eddie?
So apparently, they looked for an anchor before and could not get one. So then the next logical step is to use the oven.
Yep. I forgot to mention, too, I love the fact, I mean, it only makes sense that Ed is the motor for this cruise line.
Yeah.
It only makes sense that Ed's the motor.
Kick my feet, kick my feet.
Kick my feet, kick my feet. That's so good. We haven't seen the Cankers in a couple episodes, so enter the Cankers. They see the Eds and Jimmy and Johnny on the river while they're doing chores, and they need a man to do those chores for them. That's a pretty common thing. Whenever we see the Cankers, it's always like they're trying to get out of chores and making their boyfriends do the chores for them.
Yeah.
They're pretty flat characters. May has a freshly washed chili dog she pulls out of that laundry,
Yeah.
which is one of the goofiest things you could ever see. She's like, oh, nice and clean. Just one of the weirdest
She is
things
definitely
ever.
like the vice versa to Ed.
Yes, she's the analog to Ed for sure. Look, it's the Eds. They finally see the Eds. But now we're back on the cruise line, the cruise ship, and it's time for some entertainment. And Double D is a whiz at the steel guitar.
I hate this thing.
Is it the only time where he plays the steel guitar in the series that you can think of?
That I can think
That
of.
you can think of.
It's really good.
It's
though.
really good. I
And
have some information on it.
Doesn't
actually.
it sound a little bit like Ren and Stimpy?
It does sound a little bit like Ren and Stimpy. It really does. I hadn't thought of that, and now that you say that, it really kind of has that sound, that Ren and Stimpy sound.
The theme song or
That's
whatever.
very interesting. So they call him 88 Fingers Edwards, and Double D seems very uninterested in the instrument, even though he's absolutely great at it. It is a little bit of an odd bit because it's such a one-off type of thing.
Yeah.
A dude named Steve Dawson is who performed that actual lap guitar, steel guitar solo.
Mm-hmm.
There's a link to a 15-minute video that he did about doing that segment in the show.
Nice.
And he talks with the series. His last name is Carrot, and I can't think of his first name. The guy that did all the music for the series actually wrote like the basic bare bones of that, and then this dude Steve Dawson like just winged it over like 8 different takes, and then they put a bunch of stuff together.
Nice.
You can watch him perform it on the YouTube video, so that link is going to be in the show notes.
Nice.
They're all Canadians, so that's kind of funny. I mean, AKA base is Canadian, or AKA Cartoons is Canadian based, but
Yeah.
it's an interesting 15-minute watch if you have any interest in lap guitars or steel guitars or just some more information about this series, because they really go into depth about how the series music, the series composer went into writing the music, not just for this episode, but a lot of the other episodes. So he wrote like, I don't know what this means because it doesn't mean a whole lot to me, but for the Avast Eds, he wrote 880 bars of music, and they were both, because they're big music guys, were like, whoa! So I think that's a lot.
I'm going to say it's probably a lot.
But 880 bars of music for one episode, and the composer said that he would turn around a original score for each episode of Ed, Edd and Eddy. It was an original score that he would write for each episode, and he'd turn it around in 5 days from writing to recording to putting it in the episode.
Jeez.
Like, how do you write, like, how many seasons is Ed, Edd and Eddy?
At least 4, I want to say
4
5
seasons, and
or
you're
6.
talking 13 episodes a season?
Yeah.
That's a lot of original music that this dude created.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
insane in my brain that somebody has that much creativity
Insane
in
in
them.
my brain.
Insane in my brain. So yeah, link in the show notes if you want to watch that 15-minute video about these dudes. So yeah.
Check it out.
Check it out. At this point, though, they have run out of refreshments on the ship, and the Cankers have their own ship. They're pretty good pirates. Their ship is a mattress, which is funny and probably wouldn't float that long.
Would
quite
not
honestly.
float that long. Would not be able to jump and bounce on it.
Nope. At this point, the Cankers are gaining fast on the Eds, and Johnny loves adventure. And he loves pirates, and he's the only one having fun at this point. He's just really leaning into it. He's like, I love adventure. I think he says something like, there's nothing quite like steel pedal guitar and the open water to make me yearn for adventure.
Yeah.
That's very funny. So at this point, the Cankers are gaining on the Eds pretty dang quick, and Eddy screams at Ed to do something. Ed has motorboat lips, which is also hilarious when he gets them started by pulling his ear.
Yeah.
I love that a lot. Really kicks them into high gear, and they're really headed off now, and the Cankers have no chance
Or do they?
Or do they? They got a weed whacker motor, which is genius.
Genius.
Genius. Pure genius. The Cankers catch up to the Eds at this point with their newfound motor. With the Eds now, and along with Johnny and Jimmy, they get taken. They get taken by the Cankers. Kiss and make up. One of the Cankers says, and Jimmy just goes, "Oh yuck, oh yuck." Thankfully, the best character of the show, Johnny, shows up to save the day, and he just rips that sail all the way down. And unfortunate for Lee, that was her best pair of sheets.
Yeah. Super awesome Johnny moment.
Super awesome Johnny moment. Jimmy says, "Oh, just like Errol Flynn." So I'm pretty sure Errol Flynn is a movie star from a long time ago. And yes, he is. He is a swashbuckling movie star from the 30s and the 40s. And if you have ever seen anything that he's in, Trav, you have seen the 1930s adventures of Robin Hood in some form. Not the whole movie, but you've seen his face as Robin Hood from the 30s. You've seen it.
All right.
It's pretty synonymous with Robin Hood. So I guarantee, as soon as I saw that pop up on my computer, I'm like, oh, Errol Flynn from Robin Hood. I've never seen that movie, but I know that face.
Nice.
I know that face. He's a swashbuckling movie hero.
Swashbuckling.
The Cankers pop the Ed's inner tube raft with a bobby pin. Oh, look, a bobby pin. So scary.
God.
Double D tries his best not to let Eddy pull that bobby pin out, but of course Eddy does anyways. Ends up getting Johnny, Jimmy, and the Eds all captured by the Cankers, and their boat is completely deflated at this point. Johnny and Jimmy literally have to walk the plank. Which is very funny. "Oh, I'm walking all over Plank's face." And then it was funny too because Johnny goes, "I'm sorry, Plank," and then he jumps off to the side, and Jimmy goes, "My hair!" Jumps off to the other side, and then the Eds get all kissed up on. "It's time to claim our booty, girls." That's double entendre from a kid's show.
Yeah.
"Hello, Ed boys," after they get back to the shore now that they've been all kissed up on.
Yeah.
"Hello, Ed boys. When is the next sailing? My flesh is yearning for sun and sweat." Rolf gets handed the deflated inner tube, and he gets his money back. Roll credits.
Roll credits.
Double D does say that he wishes that his first kiss would have been more enjoyable.
Yes.
Sorry, Double D. It's usually not how it goes.
Sorry, Double D.
What did you think of those two segments together, Trav?
Very good.
Yeah, me too. I like that a lot. How about as a whole? What do you think of this season as a whole?
This was probably the best watch, I think. Even though it was only 3 episodes,
Yep.
I think these are the strongest 3 episodes for sure. What about you?
I have a newfound appreciation for Ed, and Eddy. We've talked about this in a previous podcast, that this was a show that I kind of watched a little bit later in my 20s that I would run across more often than as a 9th grader in 1999, having watched it on Cartoon Network. I certainly caught episodes, but definitely watched it a lot more when I was a little bit older, and really thinking about the way these kids are playing and the way I used to play as a kid. Danny Antonucci really kind of hit it on the head.
He did.
He really took, maybe that means that you and I both had similar upbringings to what Antonucci did, because he said obviously that he took a lot of this stuff from his own childhood, you know.
Right.
But it seemed to really strike a chord with me, being like, yeah, I remember doing stupid ass stuff like that in the summer when you have too much time and not enough things to do.
Yeah.
So.
Especially like the fad episode.
Yes, the fad episode was one that is another stick-outer for me, big time.
Like mowing lawns, not to the extent they go.
No,
I didn't spread poo everywhere.
No. I certainly mowed a plenty of lawn as a 10, 11, 12-year-old, that's for sure.
So you put most of the awesome lines in there, but I got one that was in the first episode, I think, from Eddy. "Mowing the grass is simple. Even Ed can do it, because I'm simple."
'Cause I'm simple.
I love that part. And then the one Rolf line that we didn't include is with the big feet when they're chasing the Monkey Boys. "I haven't seen feet this big since my great-grandmother." Like, what? I love that line. But yeah, Ed and Eddy, sad to be done, but there is a possible loophole.
We'll get to that in a second.
I'm going to miss this series,
Doing it on the podcast here. Like, I'm gonna miss it. It was definitely fun to do it.
It's really fun to do the homework with this.
Yeah,
like
it
I
really
really enjoy playing. I watch it a couple times with no distractions,
Yep.
and then take my notes, and then watch it in the background while I play games.
Yep.
It's great.
Yep,
I love it.
Great plan, the way to do that. I like that. It's a really great plan. Do you have anything else that you would like to talk about with Ed, and Eddy?
I do not.
Just a reminder out there, if this is the first Ed, and Eddy episode that you are listening to, we have 2 other ones that cover the other 10 episodes of Season 1.
Yes.
So go back and listen to that if you haven't yet. Get a little bit more information from us on the Eds.
Ed boys.
Ed boys. The Ed boys. Rolf needs a spinoff. It should just be a Johnny, Jimmy, Rolf spinoff.
Yeah.
Their own movie. 45-minute special.
Oh, Hundo.
Just a 45-minute special. A web special. I'll go to a web address and watch it on my computer in a terrible built-in web browser video viewer or whatever.
Seriously.
I would watch that. All right, homework assignment time. The next episode that we are going to do is going to be one of my favorite movies of all time.
Bum, bum, bum.
The Neverending Story from 1984. It was directed by Wolfgang Peterson, screenplay by Wolfgang Peterson and Herman Weigel, based on The Neverending Story by Michael Ende. I'm assuming that's Ende, E-N-D-E. It's not Endy.
I think so.
Ende.
Ende.
I'm going to put a little mark. So now it's Ende.
Ende.
Starring Barrett Oliver as Bastian Balthazar Bucks. What a name. Triple B. You think you'd call him Triple B?
Triple B.
Triple B. Noah Hathaway as Atreyu. Tammy Stronach as the childlike Empress. Gerald McRaney as Barney Bucks, Bastian's widowed workaholic father. He was in Major Dad.
Major Dad.
Remember that show at all?
Mm-mm.
Major Dad? You'll recognize the dude. You'll be like, oh, that guy.
Oh, okay.
Major Dad is just the first thing that I thought of. He's been in tons of stuff, but you'll recognize that guy. Alan Oppenheimer as the voices of Falkor, Gamorek, Rockbiter, and the narrator. And those last 3 are uncredited, which is interesting to me because they're all like major components of the movie.
Yeah.
And he just didn't get credit for them. It's kind of weird to me. Deep Roy as the teeny weenie, a messenger riding a racing snail. And do you know who Deep Roy is?
No.
Did you ever watch the 2010's Willy Wonka, Tim Burton's Willy Wonka?
Nope.
So he plays all of the Oompa Loompas in that movie. He's also another character actor that's been in tons of stuff since like the 70s. So you'll recognize him as well. And then Tilo Prontker as Nighthawk, a messenger riding a narcoleptic hang-gliding bat.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, huh? Fantasy films, man. Fantasy films. This movie was distributed by Warner Brothers, and it was released April 6th, 1984 in West Germany, because this is a West German production. This movie was exclusively made and constructed in West Germany.
Nice.
And then made its way over to the United States. It made its way over to the United States July 20th, 1984. Its budget was 60 million Deutschmarks, which is about $25 to $27 million, or $78 million in 2023. Its box office was $100 million, or $289.5 million in 2023. Thank you, U.S. Inflation Calculator. .com. I'm really excited to do this movie.
Yeah.
I love this movie, man. I love this movie.
I'm excited. I've never seen it.
I think you guys will like it. I think you and Lauren both are going to like it.
She has seen it.
Oh, does she like it?
She likes it.
Ah, good.
She's not ready to watch the sad part.
Oh.
Which is the only part I've seen. Which somehow I've seen in like, I must have been watching something on like the saddest moments in cinema history or something.
That's considered.
She's like, I don't want to watch that. I'm like, you're going to watch it with me.
Our tax dies.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Horsey.
Spoiler. You know, there was a rumor. I remember when I was a kid, and I saw it dispelled when I was doing a little bit more research, just getting ready for this section of this podcast. There was a rumor when I was a kid that the horse actually died in the movie.
Oh, my gosh.
And it's like, oh, my God, he actually died. The horse didn't die, people.
The horse didn't die.
There was actually 2 horses that were trained to do this, and neither of them died. So
How traumatizing.
very traumatizing. Trav, let's get on over to that intro. Let's start it all over.
Let's start it all over.
Let's get on over
Let's
to that.
break it down.
Let's get on over to that outro, please.
All right, time for some emails. So our first one is more just talking about an awesome email from Ben. Ben emailed us he actually sent us a picture of his very own talk boy, And that was super cool. And I just wanted to thank Ben for sending that in.
Absolutely.
And eventually, when we record things, you'll be able to see things like that.
Yep.
Because we'll show it. But
We'll show it,
that
yeah.
just proves no matter what you send us, even if it's a picture, I am going to include you in the email. So thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Next one is from NPCs are mean to me. Wants to know, when you guys are creating a character for games, do you ever make a character of the other sex?
A lot of the time I'll play as women.
Nice.
Excuse me.
A lot. He likes them a lot.
Yeah, a lot of the time I will play as women. I don't know why. Like, my default when I play any of the Fallout games is lady.
Really?
I always go lady.
That's super awesome.
For that stuff. Not always lady, but for Fallout, it's always lady. I think I've only done... Fallout 3 is the one that I played the most, and I think I only did one run-through as a man in that. I always did the ladies.
That's super funny.
I got told one time years ago that you play the women in games like that because you have smaller hitboxes because the character is generally smaller. So that's one of the reasons why I do it. But, I mean, pretty women are more fun to look at than gritty men, right?
Very true.
I
Very
don't know.
true.
It doesn't got to be a BT goth chick, but you know.
Yeah. That's super awesome. Because I tend to always make a dude. Like, I think it's funny when people can make like this super ridiculous looking character and have fun with their game, but that's not me. I always try to make them like the most badass version of myself or like what I would want to be. So I usually don't do a female, but I did write down that except for one time in Dungeons and Dragons, I did make a female elf, and it was really awesome because I was the only female in the group, and I was like doing a lot of charisma things to help our group, like bartending and all that kind of stuff, and it was really fun to play that out. But video games, pretty much always dude.
Pretty much. I'd say I'm like 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah,
I love that. Next one here comes from Rolf's grandmother. Wants to know, with Ed, and Eddy now over, in quotes, what are some other Cartoon Network shows we can look forward to you covering?
I think that Dexter's Laboratory is definitely in our future. That was one that I really enjoyed watching. I mean, I would even be interested in doing one-offs on the Powerpuff Girls.
100%.
There's enough lore there. I don't know if we would consider maybe doing a whole season of Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
But I think plugging through some Dexter's Laboratory would be a really good one. That's one that really comes to mind for me. Cow and Chicken.
Cow and Chicken.
That's a pretty classic one, too.
That's a very good one.
That's a really good one.
I wrote down all three you just said and Two Stupid Dogs.
Oh, Two Stupid Dogs. I forgot all about Two Stupid Dogs. Cow and Chicken really was trying to be Cartoon Network's Ren and Stimpy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
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 I bet you know, the episodes of that I have seen, I have definitely liked, but I bet you I've seen under 10 episodes.
Sure. Final one here is just question for Drew. We kind of talked about this already, but did you think it would take until episode 29 to get to Neverending Story?
Honestly, I didn't. I really thought that was going to be a first sixer or something like that. But we still haven't done Jurassic Park either.
Haven't done Jurassic Park.
So I'm not too broke up about it.
Yeah.
I'm just glad we get to do it because this is a kid's movie for me that was a constant rental. It was a automatic stop on television when I would run into it on a Saturday afternoon or something like that. This is a big time movie for me. I really love this one a lot.
Yeah, I'm excited for it for A, not having seen 99% of the movie, B, going another 80s movie because we don't have a lot of 80s stuff, and I think it's really cool that this will be releasing almost 1 year after our first episode.
That's really cool.
When that comes out, it's going to be, I think, a day or two after our 1 year anniversary of dropping episodes.
That's awesome. What is that? It's April what?
May 1st was our first episode that we dropped.
Very first episode, right? Yeah.
That introduction episode. Oh boy!
I refuse.
I'd like to think we have come quite a far ways.
I would definitely think so, Trav. Yes. I think that we have both gotten
better-ish,
more comfortable.
Yeah, less nervous.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. So I'm super excited to do Neverending Story, and we have a little something extra to talk about here.
We do. I'll bring it up. It's Trav's brainchild. It's a great idea, and I can't wait to do more of them.
The idea man.
we're going to start doing Overdue Homework extra credit.
Boom.
We're going to get a stock of these episodes, getting in the can, as they would say, a stock of episodes in the can. And maybe, well, definitely, we are going to be starting a Patreon, and you'll have the opportunity to subscribe and be able to listen to those.
Yes.
They are going to be exclusive to our Patreon subscribers. So if you love what you hear, be on the lookout for that Patreon in a few short months.
Yeah. We're going to do a multitude of different ideas of episodes, 20 to 30 minutes for most of it. It's going to give us a chance to do some full-length movies that fall before the 80s or into the 2000s. And, yeah, maybe an easier way to do some TV shows.
Yep.
Where it'll give people a chance to binge it with no 2-week deadline, and you can just listen to it when you can listen to it. So.
And we may even go as far as choosing topics that affect us personally, as opposed to media. You know,
Definitely.
It's going to be extra credit.
Extra credit.
Extra credit.
Extra credit. So that wraps up emails. Thank you for emailing us. Thank you for listening, as always. And make sure you follow us on Instagram and Facebook for more updates and assignments. And make sure you tune into the next exciting episode of the Overdue Homework Podcast.